Okay, Hyundai Santa Fe 2007 Limited in this case. And I've had trouble with the radiator for a long time now. I constantly check the reservoir on the engine coolant, and it would lose engine coolant. I'd say like 8 tablespoons after about an hour driving. And I traced it down to the top hose, replaced the top hose, tightened the top hose, and it still had the problem. Although I did see some leaking from there, it wasn't the main leak. So I had it pressure checked, and the company that did the pressure check said, hey, you need a new radiator. I'm like, you sure about that? I mean, the radiator I had was about 4 years old, so I didn't think it was a radiator. But I let them replace the radiator because I would have had to replace the coolant anyway, and the cost of the radiator and the coolant wasn't that bad, and I wanted this solved. I didn't want it to be a head gasket or anything like that. So after they replaced the radiator, they said, oh, we pressure checked it and there was no leaks. Lo and behold, a couple days later, I checked the coolant level in the reservoir over there, and it's losing the same amount it lost before I had the radiator. So the radiator really wasn't the issue, which I didn't think it was. So I got tired of this, and I decided to go all out, and I used this Kseal coolant leak repair, one-step pour and go. Now this stuff is pretty good as far as you can put it in currently installed coolant. You don't have to take the coolant out as long as the coolant is clean. Mine is clean because I just had the radiator replaced, so it was the perfect solution for me. This stops radiator leaks, head gasket repair, block and head sealer. Also works for water pump casings, heater core, and freeze pump. Permanently seals and holes and cracks. No draining, no flushing. And as I said, the fluid has to be clean, and it says on the back of the instructions what you need to do. Shake for 30 seconds and pour in where you normally add coolant. Leak will stop in 1 to 3 minutes after the engine reaches operating temperature. Now I also read online that you could either put it in the radiator or in the coolant reservoir, but in the radiator it works quicker. So what I did is I got myself a turkey baster, and I removed some of the coolant, and I put the coolant into like a bottle. I removed approximately 8 ounces because that's how big this bottle is. This is a bottle of magic, and the reason why I say it's a bottle of magic is because one day later I'm checking the coolant after driving this thing, and there's no coolant loss. So whatever this sealed, it sealed the actual leak. And I'm assuming the leak is in the heater core, and we know the heater core is behind the dash and it's kind of hard to get to. And I wasn't about, this is a 200,000 mile plus car, 16 years old. Did I really want to go through the trouble of having somebody remove the heater core? And no, I didn't want somebody to remove the heater core, but I think it was in the heater core. I don't think it was the head gasket because there was no white smoke. The oil looks like it's clean. There's no contaminants in it. I took the cap off and I made sure there was no bubbles going on in there. I don't know if a pressure check would find a leak in the heater core, but I have a feeling this plugged up the heater core to help stop it from leaking. So I've used items like this before, not this one in particular. This one does the head gaskets, and I never used one like that. But I've used this before, and I'll show you in a second here. Now I've used this before, this radiator stop leak from Barr's leak. And I've used it for the radiator in the past, not in this car, but in another car. This you have to be more careful with when you install it. But when I had good success with this, which it worked immediately in my other car, I thought I'm going to give this stuff a try, because if it's a head gasket or if it's a heater core, this stuff should be able to fix it. Where this stuff only works really on the radiator itself. This stuff is also good if you need to use to stop your radiator from leaking. But this video is about Kseal. Now, other manufacturers make something similar. I like this one because I didn't have to drain out the system before I used it. It just had to be clean fluid before I put this Kseal into it. And because it worked on head gaskets and water pumps, I think it would have covered what I had problems with. Now, I've been running this for about a week or two, and so far the fluid level has stayed the same. So whatever this does, it works. And pretty much what I think it does is it goes through the system, finds tiny pinholes, and it seals up those pinholes with this material. Now, a lot of people online don't like this stuff or say, oh, it's going to ruin your engine. I've used the other stuff before and the engine ran for like 3+ years before something else happened to it. So I had a lot of confidence in this type of product. And Kseal is not that expensive. I think it was like 12 bucks, maybe 10 bucks. And it worked immediately for me pretty much. I drove the car about a half hour, 45 minutes after I put it in, and I didn't see any loss. And then I've driven it probably about 200 or 300 miles since then and no loss. And by that time, that would have been dried out. So I think this Kseal is doing a good job. If I have any issues in the future, I'll let you know in this video. Or I'll make an update video. But so far, this stuff's been working really well. And it's coolant leak repair, one-step pour and go Kseal. Permanently seals holes and cracks. It's available in many other places. But I did drain some of this fluid out with my turkey baster. And I put the material into a bottle like that. And then I filled it up from here. I didn't do it from the engine coolant box over there. I did it directly onto the radiator. So I think that's the best way to do this. But this is an ongoing problem I had for over a year. I've had multiple repair shops say, oh, I found the leak, and then I get it, and a week later I'm still having leaks. So this is the only thing that really solved what I had a problem for. And I wasn't about to spend a lot of money on a head gasket or something like that. So this Kseal is basically magic in a bottle.